This week, Adrian and I got a taker on a house to clean, a free house. And the way the person talked made it sound like it was like really desperately in need. But when we got there, it was just a totally normal house with the normal amount of dirt. I mean, the cabinets were pretty dirty and they needed some work. But other than that, it really wasn't very bad at all. But it got me to thinking that there are a lot of things in a house that can make it look cleaner than it actually is or make it stand out. And some of those things are maybe neglected from time to time. So I figured I would give you some kind of tips and tricks on things to do with the house to make it look cleaner than it normally might look. Now, the first is obviously the countertops. That's not neglected. That's like the first thing everybody goes to, right? And as I'm cleaning a countertop, I will oftentimes wipe down the little accessories and tiny appliances that sit on it. So the top of a microwave, kitchen mixers, Keurigs, anything that might go on the counter, just buffing those out, even if you don't use a cleaner, can make them look shinier and make your whole kitchen look newer. So keep in mind, this is just like a daily clean or a maintenance clean. This is not a big deep clean where we're breaking out a toothbrush and just going absolutely crazy on a place. This is really quick wipe down stuff that you can do in just a matter of minutes. So for me, while I'm working in the kitchen, I'm just going to move everything off of this one section of countertop, wipe down the counters, and then wipe down each individual thing that I'm putting back. I'm not putting a bunch of energy into this. It's just a quick wipe down, put it back. While I'm doing that, Adrian will be in the bedroom, and the number one thing you can do to make a bedroom look totally clean is just make the bed. I don't typically do that in my own house. I get up, put on my clothes, and I'm out. But on the rare occasion where I do make my bed, it totally transforms the room. I can have crap laying all over the floor if I want, and as long as the bed's made, the room looks 100 times better. Now, making myself do that, that's another story entirely, because half the time I don't make it because I'm just too lazy and I just don't want to do it. The other half is because I'd have to shoo all the cats off of it, all the cats and moose that lay all over my bed. I'm just like, moose shooing is not in my repertoire today. It's not in my arsenal. So I don't have the energy for it. The moose can stay on the bed. The cats can guard them or whatever cats do with moose. But in this case, to make her bedroom look better, we went ahead and did that. And by we, I mean Adrian by herself. I think my favorite part of this is watching her try to figure out what to do with all the pillows, because this had a massive amount of pillows like most of the houses we go into. And she did what I would have done in the same situation, which is put on enough to where it looks pleasing and decorative. Anything that's left over just goes in the closet or disappears. If you can make it disappear, make it disappear. But it is kind of funny watching her throw those things around and then stop to stare and then move them a little bit, then stop and stare a bit more. And it's like, what the hell do I even do with all these? There's more pillows than there is bed. So once she finds out a nice, pleasing way to put those that is symmetrical, then she cleans out the bottom of the closet and stacks everything else up nice and neat underneath the clothes. Back in the kitchen, I'm going to clean the hood of the stove off, and that is one thing I forget to do so often because it doesn't really look dusty or dirty until you start to clean it, and you're like, I had no clue there was this much grease up here. We don't even cook with a lot of things that produce grease, but if there's grease produced even in small quantities, it's going to end up on the hood of that stove. The way I get rid of that is Mr. Clean, let it set for about a minute, and then use a scouring pad to get all the grease off of it. Then I'll go over that with APC if it's a stainless steel, just to get rid of any streaks. In this case, it was painted, so there was no need for APC. Once I'm done with that, I'm just going to bump down to the top of the stove, and that by itself, in my eyes, makes the kitchen look brand new whenever you get it all cleaned off, especially if it's black and you use APC on it after degreasing it. It shines like a new stove, and it just makes the whole kitchen pop. Between that and the sink, I think those are the two most important things to do in a kitchen to make it look new again. Back in the bedroom, Adrian's just going to wrap up all the leftovers that she had on the floor, and then she's going to do a quick dust job. Dusting shouldn't take you more than about a minute in any room. You're just going to quickly go over it with, I like Swiffer dusters myself because they're fluffy and they work, and they don't just shoot dust all over the room, they actually grab it. So get any cobwebs, don't forget the windowsills, and by the way, I'm technically from the South, and people say window seals, S-E-A-L-S, and so I have a whole lot of family members and friends who don't know that's actually called a sill, Sill. I'm just saying it because it's a pet peeve of mine. Anyway, she dusts the window sills, and really about 2 minutes of dusting and wiping down can completely change a bedroom. So suck it. If you have an open face closet, check the floor. If you got clothes that's fallen down or hangers that have hit the floor, any extra shoes or pillows or blankets, just hitting those real quick and putting them in some sort of symmetrical order reduces the chaos and clutter so much in a room that you can feel the difference when it's done. Now, I understand I work in a lot of houses where that's easier said than done. A lot of the closets that I deal with are so overrun that that's like an hour or a 2-hour project on its own, just pulling everything out, putting things in their place, and then putting them back in symmetry. That's like a huge project. But in this case, it's just a small thing where she's folding up clothes, putting pillows away, picking up hangers, and it takes like 2 minutes. Going back to the cabinets, this is a thing that I get asked about a lot. Like, how do you clean white painted cabinets that are flat? My trick is to use Mr. Clean and a magic eraser. However, understand that if your cabinets are painted flat or even matte to some extent, and they get stains in them, they're probably going to be in there forever until you paint them again. Flat paint, especially on wood, is very porous, and it's almost like chalky in texture, and that thing just sucks in stains like a sponge. The glossier a paint, the easier it is to clean. And unfortunately, the paint in this kitchen is all flat. So I was able to get out about 80% of the stains, but 20% of them are in there until they get painted again. Pay special attention to any lips that are on the cabinet doors. I think that's the thing that gets missed the most. And just getting that clean by putting your finger in the rag and just driving it across the lip can make a huge, huge difference in a kitchen. The bathroom in this house was really clean, and so we didn't have to douse this down with chemicals. Adrian's just going to use a little trick where she turns on the hot water and lets the hot water melt off any of the toothpaste globules, not just on the sink, but in that little ridge that's around the drain hole. Just running hot water while you're using a scouring pad can get rid of like the major soap scum. Then after she's done with that, she'll use APC to sanitize it. She'll kind of do the same thing with the tub. She'll get rid of a lot of the soap scum and shampoo globs with hot water and a brush. Then she'll use APC to sanitize anything that's left over. But there's not really a need in a clean bathroom to use a ton of chemicals if you don't have to. But as far as anything that can make the bathroom stand out as being clean, little tips and tricks, the mirror is the biggest one. Everybody notices their mirror. And then the bottom of the toilet where the bolts go into the ground, that usually gets neglected and it builds up dust really bad. And since it's white, it doesn't take very much dust to make it look really grimy really quick. But just for like a daily maintenance type clean, I don't think she was even in here 10 minutes. It really doesn't take a lot of time if you're maintaining the bathroom even once a week. I personally only clean my bathroom once every 2 years, but that's mainly because my urine is especially clean. I take great care in molding and crafting my urine to be so clean that it's basically a cleaner itself. And because of those cleaner properties, that's also why I pee in the sink. Back in the kitchen, Adrian's going to wipe down the dishwasher and the refrigerator. Both are stainless, and it doesn't really matter what you use to clean those if you're following it up with an ultrafine microfiber cloth. If you don't have one of those, just use APC and a microfiber, or even a dish rag work. But the ultrafine microfiber is so good at getting out streaks that you could basically just pick up your cat and wash your dishwasher with that, and then follow it up with a microfiber, the ultrafine microfiber, and every streak will just evaporate. After that, we're just going to make sure that everything on the counters is symmetrical. Then I'm going to dive into the dishes because there was only like one load, so I did those by hand. And then I'm going to clean the stainless steel sink with Barkeeper's Friend. I think the sink, especially once you polish it using Barkeeper's Friend, can do as much for a room as the top of the stove, because Barkeeper's Friend is oxalic acid, and that was kind of made for stainless steel sinks. And it's kind of crazy how new they look once you're done. But yeah, you get the top of the stove super shiny, you get a sink really shiny, and you could have so much dirt on your countertops that corn's growing in it. But those two things will automatically grab your attention because they look so good. Don't grow corn on your countertops, by the way. It's just rude. She had this offset room that just had a bunch of stuff in it, and it was just a room where like their hot water heater was in there and a furnace, but other than that it didn't really have a purpose. So I took out some of the trash and gathered up some of the clutter and just restacked it. I didn't do anything special in here at all, but just the act of restacking the stuff can make it look way better. And also keep in mind, we did not vacuum any room of the house. I really wanted to, but there was a baby here that was sleeping, and I would much rather not vacuum the house and just leave that to them, as opposed to waking up a baby and making it angry and then I have to fight it. And it has no idea how powerful I am, and it underestimates me, and the next thing you know, I'm in court and having to defend baby punching, and it's something I don't want to deal with. So we decided not to vacuum. That was just the easiest solution. The final room of the house was another storage area. You could tell it used to be a bedroom at one point, but it's since then become just like the place where you throw everything. I didn't do anything special in here either. All we did was restack things just to open it up a bit more. And I'm not really even sure why we did that, because really there's the same amount of stuff in there. It's just now located in a slightly different place than what it was. But I guess when you open the door and look in there, it appears bigger than what it was, just because we opened up more floor space. But it does show the idea that the less stuff you have in a room, the less chaotic and stressful it feels. So the more open floor space you have, the more inviting it becomes. And you can make a cluttered room look more open just by restacking the clutter that's there. Finding places for it to go in a closet or a dresser drawer, or just stacking tubs on top of tubs. The goal is to open up as much of the middle part of the room as possible. And if you can situate things where you can walk from one end of the room to the other without having to step over anything, I think that's the main goal of decluttering a storage room. After all that, it's just a matter of sweeping and mopping the floors, which I had Adri do because I hate it, and they only had a spin mop there. So, and if you've watched any of my old videos, you know my feelings on spin mops. And if you don't know my feelings on spin mops, I hate them. They're stupid, and if one talks smack to me, it's getting slapped. I don't even care, son. I'll slap a spin mop right in its face. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed us cleaning this totally normal, not dirty house. We were able to smash all this out in like 2 hours, and that's counting taking breaks. As always, thank you all for being members, and I'll see everybody this weekend. Later.